love's a baby that grows up wild, and he don't do what you want him to. Love ain't nobody's angel child, and he won't pay any mind to you. One man gives me his diamond stud, and I won't give him a cigarette. One man treats me like I was mud, and all I got that man can get. That's love. That's love. That's love. That's love.
We're in an alternate universe. Dorothy Dandridge has a daughter who became Pam Grier. If Pam Grier had a daughter, who would she become? That is the thought exercise that prompted Bridget M. Davis to start working on a script. As a young woman in the 90s living in New York City, she was having discussions with the black women in her life about how we were being portrayed in media. From Spike Lee's films to watching Vanessa Williams, the first black woman to win the title of Miss America, only to have it snatched away with endorsements, even dropping out of college after Bob Guccione published nude photos of her she had taken years prior without her consent. As a writer, Davis had a lot to say about shame, body image, exploitation, consent, mother-daughter dynamics, generational trauma. I mean, there were 14 drafts of the script. And she felt it was vital, if she was going to comment on the medium of film, she do so through making a film. Thus, Naked Acts was born. Following Cicely, Cece for short, a young aspiring actress who has recently lost a significant amount of weight.
Yeah, you lost what, 50, 55 pounds?
57.
To be exact, she has an estranged relationship with her mother, known as Lydia Love, a blaxploitation star in the 70s who now owns a video store. Cece's feelings towards her mom are, well, complicated. In a flashback while working, Lydia's boyfriend would essay Cece as a child, something Lydia herself seems ignorant to. It's been about 4 years, and she's excited to see her daughter, who really only came to tell her she's shooting a movie. This starts an argument, with Lydia clearly unapproving of it, not wanting her daughter to go down the same path, while Cece places the blame of this on Lydia's own choices, saying she won't have to take her clothes off like she did.
It was all a lie. Guys, it was all a lie. She lied.
Because when she shows up to meet the writer and producer, Marcel Brown, and her 2 other co-stars, she is told that there actually will be a nude scene, something the director, Joel, who is her ex-boyfriend, failed to mention. Yeah, I'm going to repeat that. The director, who is her ex-boyfriend, did not tell her that her character would have a nude scene. Just wanted to make sure everyone heard that, because we will be getting back to Joel. Yeah, we will. Anyway, after talking to that man, Cece decides to stay on the project, convincing Marcel an alternative solution where she does not have to be nude while still maintaining his artistic vision. Throughout Naked Acts, we see a lot of rehearsals, showcasing the messiness of collaboration that comes with filmmaking, through Marcel and another actress often bumping heads. Remember this. And Cece developing a friendship with Joel's sister and photographer of the film, Diana. She initially comes in to get headshots and is taken aback by the pictures in the studio. Hanging up are photographs of nude black women. She's uncomfortable and judgmental, and Diana can feel it, calling her out. It is through their dynamic we see more of Cece, and that while there is nothing wrong with any actor who requires a no nudity clause, what's going on with Cece is bigger. Her body language is often closed off. She's struggling to capture the emotions necessary for a certain scene. When Diana takes her to a massage parlor, she says she feels ugly and dirty before feeling comfortable enough to take her swimsuit off.
You do know that emotional work can leave you a lot more exposed than taking your clothes off ever could.
We've also been seeing her reconnect with Joel. Their first intimate scene, she leaves her clothes on and turns the lights off. The second, she takes her clothes off, still turning off the light. The third, her clothes come off and the lights stay on. Now remember I said Marcel and another actress were bumping heads? Well, she quit, which changed the roles around a bit, leading to Cece getting blindsided and no longer having the role she fought to keep her clothes on for. Now expected to play a different character, she's confronted again with the same problem. Expected to do a nude scene.
Damn.
Rightfully angry, goes to Joel about it, who made the decision because he felt Cece had become comfortable with it. Here the truth comes to light. Joel has not only been sleeping with Cece, but he was also sleeping with the actress who quit. Marcel speaking up that according to her, Joel was the reason for her departure. Marcel fires him and Cece leaves the project for good, going back to the video store for an emotional confrontation with her mother about what happened to her as a child, ending in Lydia and Cece embracing one another. The final scene ends with her alone in Diana's studio, slowly taking off her clothes as she's photographing herself and narrating a letter she has written to her mom. That while she has a long way to go, she has finally gotten to a place where she no longer feels ashamed, as she knows what happened to her was not her fault, with the nudes enclosed for Lydia. Ideally, consent is fully formed and voluntary, without coercion or undue influence. In 2017, Matt Zwolinski, professor of philosophy at the University of San Diego, published a paper saying, "An exploitative exchange can occur even when someone appears to consent, as the power dynamics or vulnerabilities involved can make the agreement less meaningful." Joel and Cece met when she was in high school. But Joel was not. She was overweight and had a hard time fitting in, feeling as if he was her savior during this time. As someone who admired her grandmother, it's perfectly reasonable why she'd want to follow in her footsteps. And this is something Joel knows. Asking her to be a part of the project while omitting what is required is where the exploitation begins in this story. The first thing out of his mouth when he sees her is to comment on her weight loss. He's sleeping with 2 of the cast members and uses the intimate moments he has with Cece to make a decision for her that she is ready to do something she has already vocalized being uncomfortable with. There's a flashback scene of Cece overhearing her mother and grandma argue when she was a child. Her grandma seems to turn her nose up at the blaxploitation films Lydia is starring in, romanticizing her era of films instead. Lydia fights back, arguing black actors, especially women, should know it's not about the role, it's what you do with it, and how both have been exploited by the industry. Grandma implies she doesn't want her granddaughter ending up like her own daughter, causing Lydia to make a decision that Cece would come to live back with her. Now, Grandma's not much in the film, but her presence makes an impact. There's countless articles on the line that blaxploitation films toed in the representation of black women, Pam Grier being the most notable icon, the good and the bad. But the era of Dorothy Dandridge sometimes can run the risk of being filtered through glasses focusing on the femininity and power she captured on screen, while ignoring the exploitative horrors and racism off. These actors were denied equal footing compared to their white counterparts. What else is new? Limiting their abilities to demonstrate their range in acting skills. If you weren't the Sapphire, you were the Jezebel. If you weren't the Jezebel, you were the Mammy.
And I want to thank each one of you who had a part in selecting me for one of the awards. For your kindness, it has made me feel very, very humble. And I shall always hold it as a beacon for anything that I may be able to do in the future. I sincerely hope I shall always be a credit to my race and to the motion picture industry. My heart is too full to tell you just how I feel. And may I say thank you, and God bless you.
And on a side note, can we please get a Hattie McDaniel biopic? I mean, this woman was an actress, singer, songwriter, and comedian. But I don't want it unless it's written and directed by a black woman, so let's get on that, Hollywood. Please and thank you. The character Diana, there to challenge Cece's own perspective, is played by artist and photographer Renee Cox. Her career has centered deconstructing stereotypes and reconfiguring the black woman's body, using nude forms as a subject. So in other words, she was just playing herself. You know, meta. But it's her who opens a new outlook for Cece that nudity is not inherently exploitative. There's a difference between artistic nudity and exploitation. Cece's problem was her trauma blocked her from being able to see the difference. Digital marketing professional Niani Scott wrote in her review, "From the beginning, the audience sees young Cicely fill her shirt with tissue to emulate breasts, and her mother pulls the tissue out. Then, after a moment of hesitation, puts the tissue back in her shirt. We see that they are close, and that Cicely wants to be like her mother. After such a beautifully intimate scene, between mother and daughter, the audience then witnesses that purity and innocence snatched away. Grandma notices a change in her behavior, commenting on her stilted emotions. She no longer laughs or cries, has become antisocial, and started overeating. Cece was robbed of her innocence by a predator, only to meet another in different font during high school. Joel comments how tough she was, and that's how she pulled him. She pulled him? Ugh, have I mentioned how much I hate Joel? The only validation she was receiving at the time was from someone she saw as her savior. The only person she allowed herself to be vulnerable with was this older man taking advantage of her. The trauma Cece experienced eroded her trust in the world and impacted her ability to be vulnerable. There's a possibility her mother experienced something similar, as when Cece cries, she demands her to stop, which makes it kind of ironic she becomes an aspiring actress, unable to connect to her feelings. Pretty much every man present is a trash can, but I do have a soft spot for Marcel. Is he condescending? Yes. Pretentious? Also yes. But I find he serves Cece in a similar way as Diana. While she learns to be more comfortable in her body through this friendship, the fact there is a problem at all blooms open through her interactions with Marcel, who chastises her more for the lack of an emotional connection he feels in her acting than the nude scene itself. Davis referred to this character as the man with standards, noting while making naked acts, cast and crew would call her Marcel, behind her back of course. But Marcel, even with some harshness, played a role in Cece's journey, slowly overcoming her aversion to her body and also her emotions. One thing you might have noticed is Cece loves her a wig. And girl, me too. I mean, not as much anymore, but I definitely had an era and look back on it fondly, switching up my look depending on my mood, having my prison braids underneath in the vein of protective styles, and my confidence was clearly pointing to that girl, considering some of these looks now make me cringe. It's no secret our hair is political, no matter what we do with it, and Cece's hair is a vital element in Davis's storytelling, noting her wigs become less extravagant as the story progresses. In an interview last year, Davis said, "What if I am making her visual appearance play against what's happening for her emotionally? She's trying to hide, but at the same time, she really feels like she wants to be seen. I think both are true, and the wigs are a way to manage that, where they are elaborate in a way that you often see with a lot of black women. We want to be stylish and be seen, but that doesn't mean we want to be exposed." Despite Cece's disdain for her mother's roles, she deeply admires her grandmother's work as an actress. This is what she wants to do, who she wants to be. When we first meet her, she is wearing a bright red wig. It's striking, but in a way where it doesn't quite fit. It's as if she's wearing a costume. She's already begun acting before she's even filmed a scene. Posturing in her argument with her mom, she wants to be seen as better, like her grandma, but still seeking a level of validation. To be loved is to feel acknowledged and understood by another person, and she's been chasing after her mother for that. In their final confrontation, allowing her daughter a moment of vulnerability she often shut down was the key in her learning how she's felt all of these years. She sees her, finally, and that's one of the most beautiful things about the last sequence. I mean, sending your mom your nudes on paper would give the TikTok girlie something to talk about for weeks. But after being looked down upon by her mother and daughter for the film she's made, there's something so intimate about Cece wanting to share that moment with her. I cannot think of a better way to end this film. And I don't have to, because Bridget M. Davis did. To be a black actress is to be vulnerable, to entertain, to feel, in front of an audience conditioned to judge you for the texture of your hair, the hue of your skin, the box you will inevitably be placed in, created by tropes beyond your control. There's a cost to that, but also an internal reward. Cece's innocence was stolen. As a result, she locked her emotions in a tower others couldn't find. But she also lost the key. Amongst the costs, to be vulnerable is to connect. Naked Acts is a love letter to all the black women, particularly from previous generations, who have allowed us to see them. With the film's recent restoration and re-release, if this video can get even one person to go experience its beauty, I've done my job.
You should know this too.
It's also funny. I know everything I just went over, it might seem like a downer, but it's also funny. Okay, bye.